Hey guys, this is Manshark Sub LPs. I'm Sub, this is Crusader Kings II, and this is Millennia in the Making, Episode 5. In the last episode, the good Duke Otto of Saxony, who is our current player character, we've declared war on the Duke of Thuringia. I am never going to get these pronunciations correct. He's no longer technically the Duke of Thuringia, he's Fankolf of the East Francian Revolt. I believe that his title at the moment is a king level title. You can sort of have a look at this particular symbol up here. In this case it's a crown. And if you look down here, these are the current titles that he has. So he holds the County of Weimar, the Duchy of Thuringia, and the titular title of the East Francian Revolt. And if you look at the little crowns above them, it appears that this one is far superior to the others. Anyway, we've pretty much beaten him. We just have to wait for these sieges to bring our war score up a little bit, so we'll just keep the time speeding up. Keep an eye on the army of Chief Bretislav here. That could be a bit of an issue with us. So we're just going to watch out what they do while we slowly wait for the siege timer to tick down by 6% every 12 days. We've just had an event turn up. This is because in the last episode we selected the ambition to improve on our intrigue attribute. So we have hired an old assassin to teach you how best to thwart the efforts of his kind. He has taught you several valuable lessons, like never sitting with your back towards a door, and to never stay too long in an inn that smells of manure. Those are valuable lessons that will prolong our lives. In everyday life too, you know. If, at the moment, you go down to your local pub or tavern or club and it smells like shit, you should probably leave it. And we have gained 1 intrigue from that, which has brought our intrigue up to 4. So we have 4 more points to go until we've completed our ambition. Some of you might have noticed when we had our heir appear, he has 0 in every attribute. That isn't actually a problem. He has 0 in every attribute because he's a newborn baby. Those will improve over time, and we can sort of see that if we go to his sister, Agnes, who already has 2 points of intrigue and 2 points of martial, and that's despite her lisp. Fortunately, her brother Loidolf doesn't have a lisp. He shouldn't get one, except through some sort of events, but we will get a say in those events. And we'll have a look at how that works when they show up. So the siege is coming along pretty well. I'm not quite sure what Chief Bretislav's army is doing down here. They are attempting to besiege this place, but I don't actually think that they have enough men to begin a siege properly. Okay, we've just had another faction show up. Count Gundakar of Innsbruck has founded the Karl for Bavaria faction. So yeah, the factional stuff is still going on pretty roughly. The problem with that caused this massive splintering of what's going on is in the Umayyad War for Barcelona, which the Carlings are losing horribly. Just absolutely horribly. This bloke here, let me pull him up. Sultan Muhammad of the Umayyad Sultanate. He's got a massive amount of land under his reign. I mean, basically most of the Iberian Peninsula. He isn't penalized for his decadence. He's really doing quite well for himself. But we're not particularly interested in that. We don't care about this war. It has affected us, but only because our national armies were wiped out. Which has caused all of this factional stuff to happen, because suddenly everybody's faction has more men than the Liege. That has somewhat recovered. It's still not great, but it has somewhat recovered as the levies have replenished. So we'll just wait for this siege to tick down. Got a few more, well, about 1.5 months left until we take this castle, and then we can move on to the city and the bishopric, assuming, of course, that the taking the castle doesn't up the war score to the point when we can either force victory or negotiate for a victory. And despite having our troops raised, still getting a bit of penalties here. Okay, what's happened here is we've had a siege event happen. So the defenders of the Castle of Weimar have successfully raided our camps and inflicted some casualties. We're going to try to do something here, which involves changing where this message appears. So, how we do that is we go to our message settings in the options, and we scroll down. Well, first of all, we filter these things. You can change every one of these messages and where they appear in relation to what. So we're going to click on military and just have a little look down to see if there's anything involving sieges. There doesn't actually appear to be anything involving the siege events, so we'll just check other. It could be these ones. Okay, well, what we're going to do, we're going to just test this out and put the strategic effect commences and strategic effect expires as priority 1 messages, which means that they show up as pop-ups instead. There's no event things. Okay, so we'll just see how that goes. If that does something weird, we can just click on reset defaults and it will do exactly what it says. Let's start that up again. So we've lost a few men, they've lost a few men, but they probably got a little bit more morale out of it. So the siege will go for another 12 days, which isn't optimal, but it's not a problem. And our ally here, the Count of Württemberg's armies, are kind of just wandering around our place, which is fine. And down here, this is very interesting. The army of Chief Bretislav has met with the army of Baron Adam, who, I'll just pause that there while I talk about this, who is loyal to the King of East Francia, as are we, and they have destroyed the army of Chief Bretislav. So we've taken the county capital of Weimar, we've gained 9.3 gold in looting, and now we've moved on to besiege the city of Jena, which we will take fairly quickly because cities are not very defensive. So it loses 25.4% morale every 12 days. It'll take us 2 months, well, not 2 months, but 48 days to take this city, and maybe even less to take the bishopric afterwards. We could potentially assault it, but I'm a little leery of assaulting holdings in the first century or so of the game, just because we don't have a lot of men. And speaking of men, in absolutely no related fashion, you can see here that the province of Braunschweig is slowly recovering from being looted, and we're getting a little bit more gold out of them every time that gold is calculated. We do need to keep an eye on our opinions up here. They will slowly degrade, or the negative penalty will slowly diminish as we put down... Geez, everything is happening here, it's just, you know... Anyway, we've won the Siege of Jena, we've picked up 11.8 gold, a little bit more than a castle because it was a town. And now we're moving on to besiege the bishopric, which should take 120 days to finish. We're just going to try and offer peace to our buddy here, and he won't let us enforce our demands because he is losing, but he won't give up yet. So he knows he's lost. He's just hoping that something happens which can, I don't know, help him out a bit. I'll just check this particular one. Whoop. Okay, that's annoying. That's actually quite annoying for us. The Saxon East Francian Revolt de jure war over Weimar, which was the war that we were involved in, has ended inconclusively because there have been liege changes for Duke Thankolf of Thuringia. Basically, that means that his big revolt against the Giffer king ended. He's been put in prison as a result of that, but it means that we no longer are going to war for our particular thing, for the county of Weimar. So we're going to disband our troops. They will all return home. That's great. That's no problems. And now the army of Mayor Gottfried is wandering around for some reason. Ah, there we go. They've just disbanded. There is still the revolt down here. They are also part of an East Francian revolt. Karl Karling, that may get confusing, is revolting against King Karl Karling, that would be, of East Francia. We're currently winning that because there's been one battle. The king holds Prince Ludwig, who must be this guy's son or heir or something like that, and we also control all of East Francia except for the revolting territories. So it's up to this guy to prove that he can be a better king than this guy by, well, basically beating the crap out of him. We're not too invested in that. We've had a high priority event show up. Our good brother, Bruno Lodofinger, if you remember this charming fellow, has just died in our dungeons. So sad. And yes, he's been removed from our line of succession, and his son, Luitpold, has popped up. We'll just check how Luitpold views us. Yeah, he's fine. He doesn't care. Now, let's just see if we can do something here. We could attempt to make another de jure claim on Weimar. I think we're going to try and do that, because the Duke... Well, one, he's in prison, and two, his armies have yet to recover. Ours are still completely fine. So we come here to his diplomacy thing, declare war. We've got two reasons for war now. We can either use the de jure claim, which is what we will actually do, because that gives us the county, or we can claim it for this Theodoric guy who showed up at the start of the last war, if you remember. Now, this gets a little bit complicated. If we choose that particular casus belli, it means that Theodoric will become the Count of Weimar. That's not particularly great, but there is a little bit of a caveat that if myself, Duke Otto of Saxony, and Theodoric von Herford are of the same dynasty, or if Duke Otto of Saxony is the de jure liege of the County of Weimar, Theodoric von Herford will also become a vassal of me. So under that, because I am the Duke of Saxony, because Weimar is, well, it's a county in the Duchy of Saxony, I am the de jure liege of that county, so Theodoric would become one of my vassals. So either one of these will result in me becoming the liege lord of this province. But we actually want the province ourselves. We don't want to give it to this guy, who, although he likes us, because, well, why wouldn't you like me? I'm such a wonderful individual, plotting child murder in the last episode and all that sort of stuff. So while either of these would be beneficial for us, this one would be more beneficial. Yeah, so we're going to declare war on that. Now, you'll see that there hasn't been any sort of division here. When the former, well, he's not former Duke yet, he's still in prison. While I raise vassals, I'll just talk about this. While in the last time when he revolted against the king, just had another faction turn up, the king has inherited something that I don't care about, and Bavaria has instituted a law, factions disbanded. King Carmen has executed Duke Ludwig the Younger, and there's a bunch of messages there about just, inheritances didn't happen. And because of that, we're getting a lot of disbanded factions and all that sort of stuff. It's not too big a deal. Anyway, when Duke Fankoff was rebelling against the king, he was part of a separate nation. As you can see over here in Lotharingia, there's sort of a more divided up aspect of things. We only have a little red border here to indicate which provinces are hostile to us, because we're still all part, oh that's kind of awkward, of the Kingdom of East Francia. Whereas down here you can see the revolt is its own little country. So let's get on with that. Gather all of our men together as they slowly walk in. What I'm going to do is just take the initiative and charge on in there. Assign myself some alternative leaders. Now we don't have an ally in this war, but we do have the opportunity to call in, again, Count Sighard of Wittenberg. We're going to do that. He won't mind too much, and he will respond in 5 days, presumably with a yes message. Just built our castle town in Braunschweig, so that's great. We'll get a little bit more income from that, and yep, you can see our total income from Braunschweig has risen from about 4 to 6.5. So that's really good. There's not really much that we could build other than the castle fortifications at this stage, so we'll just let our income continue to rise up. We've got a little bit of a battle going on here. I foresee no problems with it. What's happened up here is, well, the revolt ended. And then the king tried to revoke the Duchy of Baden from Karl here, Karl Karling, who presumably was the Duke of Baden. He's also the Duke of Swabia, so that's interesting. And so he tried to revoke it. Karl the Fat has, wow, Karl the Fat has decided to not go along with that particular demand. And that's why we've got yet another rebellion on our hands. It's getting a little bit awkward down there. So we're really just going to pay attention to what we have going on up here. We've got one of these messages from our Chancellor, which will improve Prince Bishop Rimbert's opinion of us by 30 for 3 years. That's wonderful, because now he's got a near maximum opinion of us. He really should be paying us his dues. And yes, he certainly is. He's paying us 13.8 gold per month, or year, or something like that. So that's pretty cool. That's actually really cool. We should be able to reassign our guys. So we'll just look at who would earn the most money. 7.6 there, 18.9, 13.9. The Bishop of Osnabrück, who is in... He's actually our Chancellor, so there's not too much that we can really do with him. We could give him an honorary title or something like that, but I'm not terribly concerned about that. So let's look at the Bishop of Paderborn, who is raiding in Paderborn in Braunschweig. We're going to send our chaplain to Braunschweig. And, unless I'm mistaken, yes, we're going to send our Chancellor back down to talk to the King for us and let him know just how much of a stellar chap we are. Okay, so we've got our army sitting here, besieging the castle once again. We get a little bit faster on this because they've got less men than they did before. We're more likely that an assault would deal with the place at this stage, but I'm very hesitant to order such an assault. We might order it on the city here if we get there quickly enough. There's the yearly autosave kicking in. And we've just got some more messages about factions going on. Yeah, this faction that's remaining here, I say that as another faction pops up. But you can see from the percentages here, this faction only has 18.3%, and this faction has 35.6% of the king's total men. So he's really recovering from that fiasco down in Barcelona. Which is good. It's very good. It wouldn't be very great if you know, somehow that just wiped us out for the entire game, because we would have no control over that. This is the advantage of playing as a duke as opposed to a count. You've got some sort of measure of control over what happens, but you still have events which you can't control, such as whatever happened down in Barcelona that we weren't paying attention to. Not that there would have been much that we could have done, considering that the army sizes that were happening down there were in the thousands, and we've only managed to raise 1,000 fellows. So we're still stacking up this negative opinion penalty here rather swiftly, to be honest. But what we're hoping is that we can actually bring a swift conclusion to this little civil war that we've got going on here. Okay, there's yet another faction turning up. Let's check out how our technology's going. Okay, so we have the option here to invest in some technology. See, this button here, which is normally grey, has turned blue in some cases. So we could invest in light infantry, which would increase the attack and defense of our light infantry and archers, which we actually have quite a number of. We could do the same thing for cavalry. We don't have much in the way of cavalry. And we can do a bit of shipbuilding. We do have ships, I believe, because we have some ports, but not entirely important for me here. And we could get a little bit more in the way of military organization. We will probably just spend the 10 points here to pump this up. So there we go. We've just increased our military organization slightly. And now the only thing that we could invest in is cavalry, which we're not going to do at this stage. We're going to wait that one out. We've also got the option to invest in church infrastructure, improved keeps, or trade practices. We're not going to invest in trade practices, because we don't actually do anything with trade. That's for republics and things like that. We might just spend the 10 points to up our improved keeps. This lets us access higher levels of fortification and eventually walls and keeps and things like that. Whereas church infrastructure unlocks, well, buildings in churches. So we'll just unlock that. And down here we have the ability to invest in legalism, which increases the demesne size and reduces the amount of time it takes for the short reign penalty to wear off. Or tolerance, which we're not caring about too much. I mean, we're a nice guy, we're kind, we're trusting, we have a sense of justice, but we don't have any different cultures, we don't have any different religions. So we'll just invest in legalism down here. And we'll just keep that one going for a bit. Already our chaplain is paying dividends with increased Bishop Siegfried's opinion of us by 30 points. There we go, he's up to 60. 62. He's not a very good man of the cloth, is he? He's slothful, he's lustful, he's a coward, he's paranoid, and he's gluttonous. And he isn't even that good a priest normally. And he still wants to be called chaplain, so, well, he can hope for that as much as he wants. We're just kind of clicking around to see what's available to build in particular places. While we wait for this siege to just tick down, you can also see here, below our cities, we've gotten a few more things appearing. We've got a list of our armies. We've only got one, so it doesn't matter, which is named because we, Duke Otto Lottlefinger, are currently in charge of the central column. There's a siege going on. That's fine. That's just letting us know. And there's also one going on in Munster. I don't know what the hell is going on here, but these guys are supposed to be my allies, yet they are besieging my city. luckily, this little icon here indicates that they do not have enough men to successfully besiege a place. To have enough men to progress the siege count, you need to have more men than there are defenders. Doesn't matter what type they are, just as long as you have more. Additionally, we've managed to get our wife pregnant again. Good on us. And the castle siege should end now. Wow, called that. So yeah, great. We've got that castle. Everything's good. And now we're going to actually assault this one. We've just had it turn up, but we've got 1,000 men against 54 in a city. So we click that button and you can see the numbers start dropping, the morale starts dropping. We're taking a fair amount of casualties in comparison, but it gets the siege over really quickly. So there you go, we lost 76 men, but we won the siege. We're not going to do that for the bishopric of Gera, just because we would actually lose that. I mean, just taking on 50 men, we saw our morale go down a fair amount. Just have a little look. And yep, he knows he's losing, but he won't give up yet. And there's our current scores. So our ally lost a battle in Nassau, and that's giving us a little bit of pain on the war score meter, but not too much. So I think we're going quite well there. And while all that's happening, if we really wanted to get a lot of money so that we could build up stuff nice and fast, we would borrow the money from the Jews. That decreases the opinions, our bishop's opinions of us by 10 points, but it gives us 300 gold to spend. Eventually they will want that money back. They will want 350 back when I can afford to pay it back. And occasionally we can just tell them to get stuffed because, you know, they're not good Christians, so, well, off with their heads sort of thing. We're actually getting the option to reduce the city levies. I said that we were going to do that, so we will actually do that. That still needs support, but pretty much everybody is going to vote for it. Yeah, we get a few little things there. You can see the numbers are stacking up, and it has been approved. Nice and easy. It's usually quite easy to reduce, or to pass laws that reduce the amount of contributions that people need to make, but it can be quite difficult to get the ones that approve that require them to contribute more in the ways of tax or men. So our money is really coming up quite nicely here. We might still go for that castle town, but the militia training ground would be quite nice. Getting an extra 90 men is quite a benefit at this particular stage of the game. I am considering whether we want to keep Lundberg as our capital province, considering that we are the Duke of Saxony, not, what is this, Brunswick. We can be the Duke of both places. You're allowed to hold 2 ducal titles with no penalty. If you hold 3, then your vassals start getting a bit, well, they talk about you behind their back. You know, look at this guy, thinks he's so good, he's holding 3 duchies. And there we go, the siege has just completed, the war score has been bumped up to 57%, and there are no longer any enemy-held holdings in the county of Weimar. That, if we're lucky, yep, that is giving us a ticking war score. You can see down the bottom here, it says 0% because Duke Otto controls Weimar. That will increase over time, so that's how we win this war. But we also win the war by going down and taking more of his stuff just to increase that war score. See if he'll offer peace. He will actually take peace from us. He doesn't want to lose everything. That being said, he can't lose everything. We can't take any more from him than the county of Weimar, like we've said. But we could destroy his army and really loot his provinces and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to send that message to him. It will take a little bit of time, 4 days for him to respond to it. If the war score was at 100%, it would be an immediate victory. We just force it on him. So we just wait that time, and there we go. The Saxon-Thuringian de jure war over Weimar has ended. Duke Otto of Saxony won. I've got a message from Duke Fankov to the glorious Duke Otto. May you live in harmony and contentment. I accept your offer of peace. Now, we need to disband the levies immediately. We've already got -12 from most of our people, so we kind of want to... While that's not a big deal, because almost everybody likes us, we kind of don't want too much in the way of negative penalties, because they eventually stack up. You can see here our dement size has increased to 3 of 4, and we have the county of Weimar right here. I believe we will have also have picked up the bishopric of Gera and the city of Jena as vassals. We can check that. Yes, Mayor Wilhelm of Jena is, well, he's our vassal, we're his liege lord, that's great. He doesn't particularly mind us, that's fine. And we'll just check on the bishopric of Gera. It's held by Bishop Herman, and he's fine with us too. And just let this army go. And of course, we've looted that province when we captured it, so we got a little bit of money out of that, and we just need to wait for it to recover, and it will all be good. And that's given us some more options. We're going to build castle walls there. That will help out there. So we're slowly getting back the Duchy of Saxony right here. Because we already own it, it's quite easy to just declare war on people, as we just did, that, you know, own parts of our rightful heritage lands and all that. If we didn't have the title, wow, I have no idea where that came from. Anyway, if we didn't have the Duchy of, or the Dukedom of Saxony as a title, in order to claim it, we would have to own... Let me just bring up the de jure listing. So, we come here, and currently all of this place is counted as the... Wonderful. Okay, let's just deal with that quickly. We've got a new daughter. We're going to call her Berta. And she's pretty average. Wonderful. So we come here, we go to the Duchy of Saxony again. Because we don't have the de jure marker ticked, this shows us every province that is under the ducal title. So all of Brunswick. If we click the de jure, we can see, you know, the actual traditional lands. And we have the three counties here. In order to claim it, we would need to own over 50% or 51% of these counties. So we would take Dolomici and then claim it and then use that particular claim to take Plauen here. We don't need to do that because we're already the Duke. Okay, our Chancellor has attempted to make Baron Adam of Cowell. I don't even know how to say that. He is not going to like us now, which is a little bit of a shame because he's actually the spy master of East Francia. And you see here he has quite an excellent intrigue stat. Okay, well, quick note. This is not my wife, but I am starting to think that Constance might fancy me. We just check her out. Wow. Okay, so this is very interesting. We've got two options here. We can either make a move, in which chance we go to Constance's chamber and, well, I guess we play a riveting game of chess or something? I'm not quite sure what would happen in that case. Or we could say that it's not appropriate to play chess with a woman that we are not married to, and we would gain some piety out of that. Now, what could happen here is, well, apparently playing chess gives you children. So we could father a bastard, and we're actually fairly likely to do that because she is lustful. She's also slothful, so, you know, whatever. She's gregarious, she's just, she's quick-witted. That's an amazing genetic trait. And she's a charismatic negotiator. So, we're going to say that it's not appropriate. We have an heir already. We don't need any bastards that we may legitimize or not. So we will continue merely playing chess with our wife. Checkmate. So the war against the tyranny down here is not going too well for us, mainly because the rebels control all of their holdings. That may change fairly shortly, because this large army is sitting in the middle of Wurtemberg. And this army here of 457 men appears to be all that the rebels have. So as soon as we take one of their holdings, that 26.65 penalty will vanish. And we might not be leading the war at that point, but we'll certainly be on the way to winning it. For some reason there's some armies sitting in my capital province that aren't mine, and that I have no caring about. We will definitely be talking about retinues at some point, but that will be later. Okay, well, we've got another negative chancellor message here. This guy, Mayor Ulrich of Pforzheim, will have an opinion penalty against us. I don't particularly care about that. The only person I actually care about is the king, who currently owes money to the Jews. Let's just check out how the factions are going. Not too much of a concern. We don't have any real plots going on. I really don't want to revoke that guy's bishopric. Like, it's just no point to it. So, should we hold a summer fair or go on a pilgrimage? We're still fairly young. We're only 23 years old. I don't particularly want to go on a pilgrimage while my son is only 2, though, because, well, when you go on a pilgrimage, you can go to one of 2 places, usually. You can go to Rome, which is quite nice, quite a nice journey down through the Swiss Alps and all that sort of stuff. Or you can come down here. Where is it? Ah, it's somewhere down here. To Jerusalem. That is a very dangerous trip and may result in your death. I've just seen an army down here. Ah, right. They're technically hostile to us because they're rebels. But, like, rebels. They're like bandit rebels. So let's not worry too much about them. So you see here, we can no longer declare war on Duke Thankolf of Thuringia because we don't have a valid casus belli. We also have a truce with him. So, while we could declare war, there we've just got notification that the Umayyad Holy War for Barcelona has been lost. So we've presumably had to give up Barcelona to the Umayyads, and yep, if we check, this is Barcelona in here. It's a full duchy, and they took it. Not really much we could do there. It's just a thing. I'm not overly concerned. This war score keeps ticking up. I would really like these guys to... We can't see how the siege is going because we're not a direct participant. But I would really like them to end it. Our monthly income has gone up significantly since we basically have started to solidify and expand our personal realm. Also, you can see here that the opinion penalties for having our vassal levies raised too long are slowly diminishing. Okay, and what's just happened here in Lundberg is the negative steward mission effect. My liege, I write to you with bad news from Lundberg. Don't know why you had to write to me. I'm probably not actually there at the moment. Let me check that. No, I'm there. He didn't have to write to me. He could have just walked next door. Or emailed me. My efforts to squeeze some extra taxes out of a population have met with resistance, and the peasants are arming themselves. I fear we might have a revolt on our hands here soon. So what that does is, for the next year, see until the 13th of July 875, it's currently the 13th of July 874, Lundberg gets plus 5% revolt risk. And additionally, the mayor and bishop of that particular county get a minus 10 penalty against us for 12 months. So let's just have a look here. We can see here the revolt risk is currently 5%. That is not great. So we're going to get our marshal and tell him to suppress revolts. This gives us a minus 15 local revolt risk. So we shove him down there, just start the timer up a little bit, and we can see our revolt risk has hit 0%. Now we don't have to worry about it. And our marshal has just sent us a message, which he probably shouldn't have been able to do, because we just changed his particular job. But it's alright. We'll forgive him for that, because it was a positive one, increasing the number of levies. So the question is, what will we attempt to do next? I'm thinking that we should go and kick, just, you know, waltz next door and kick Chief Bredislav's door in and take his stuff. He has no allies, you can see here. He's only got a few vassals, which is fine. Let's just have a look at that. So yes, he can raise about 400 if he tries, plus 90, plus 100, plus 150. What we might want to do is let Weimar's levy replenish, because if we go up here to our army levies, that should have increased our personal levy maximum by a bit. If we could raise 1,500 guys, we can easily beat Chief Bretislav here. And he does own something which belongs to me, doesn't he? Unfortunately, it is also... Okay, so while he is Slavic, the province itself follows the Slavic religion as well. We're going to have to try and convert that if we take it. We convert provinces by telling our court chaplain to proselytize, and that has a whole lot of effects, 2 positive, 2 negative. Normally, he will have a 33.76% chance per year to convert the county. If I have any subjects in the county, then we have a 57.03% chance to convert them to Catholicism per year. There is a 1.03% chance that heathens will attack the court chaplain. They may kill him. That's just telling us that the castle walls have been built in Weimar. They may kill him, they may injure him. It's not great. And there is a 28.49% chance that he will discover one of our nobles is a heretic, which sends us a little message which we can choose to either accept or claim. No, there's no way that guy could be a heretic. And that has opinion modifiers of all around the place. So another thing we're waiting for is just for these penalties to go away. And then we'll look at, well, forcing our claims on places. I would like to attempt to take Laxon as well, but that's part of Brandenburg, which we don't have any sort of claim on in any way, shape or form. We might be able to do it because he doesn't... the chief doesn't have any allies. He's only got 2 vassals. The problem there is it would have to be a holy war, which means other Slavic rulers might join in on the excitement. Had some low priority messages show up, some imprisonments, just... Yeah, so what's happened down here, if I can check. Right, the army of Ludwig here, the East Francian Revolt, has actually managed to occupy the castle of Baden, and they've taken some captives in that, so that's probably done very bad things there for the war score. But this little fight up here, this siege, should really be finishing shortly. They've been there for ages. There are 3,000 of them. It's just very strange. If this army starts looking like it's coming up towards us, we may have to raise our levies and deal with it. We can fight it because it's red, it's hostile. But I'd prefer not to because there will still be some casualties associated with that. And if I lead my troops, which logically I would have to do because I'm still the best commander in my personal realm, there's the chance of dying, which is not great. Wonder where Prince Karl is. Karl is actually leading some of those troops. So, okay, so what's just happened here? The army of Mayor Ulrich has captured the castle of Stuttgart, which has completely removed the ticking war score modifier. So we've gone from minus 44% to 4%. They'll stay there and try and take this city and... Okay, wonderful. Our wife has just died after a period of illness. So, we're not married. We've got 2 dead wives by the age of 24. Let's see what we can get. So, it's saying that Vasilka here is a good option, but she's Orthodox, she's Bulgarian, she's also a bastard. And she doesn't really have anything that we need. Well, let's look at this. We always want a high diplomacy. High diplomacy is good. We could do a little bit more stewardship, and we could do a little bit more intrigue. So, just by checking out... checking out what we've got here. We've got Gormelia. She's a courtier in Caithness, which is in Scotland. Yep, she's Scottish. She's Catholic. And she is the daughter of Earl Malbride. So that would give us an alliance with a foreigner. That's fine. She's got a good diplomatic skill, which, because she has this particular trait, has added to her fertility. She's a coward, she's humble, and she's cruel. And she's got really nothing else going for her there. There's nobody else on the line that really looks all that interesting, so we'll check out stewardship. The best steward on offer is a Mastermind Field Logician, so that's immediately a problem because she has negative fertility from that. You know, I gotta kind of say it, we don't appear to have a very good range of suitable marriages here. What we will probably do is go with Gormelia here. She's 17, so, you know, she's not a kid anymore. She's not a bastard. She's technically a noble. We get an alliance out of it. She's got a plus fertility trait. I would consider going with Epiphania here, but there are a few things. We'll go over this because it's important to know who to marry and who not to marry. 1, she's Orthodox. Not too bad, not too bad. She does have a lustful trait, which means, you know, more fertility. Unfortunately, she is envious and she is very good at intrigue. She may attempt to kill Luidolf in favor of one of her own children if that happens. So we'll go with Gormelia here, we'll see what happens. We would gain 1 prestige from marrying into House McGirrick, and 0 from marrying the relative of an earl. We don't want to make it matrilineal. Everything's fine. We'll get that back in 14 days. And what's happened here is because we've lost our wife, who gives us a stewardship bonus, our demesne size is too big. See, we're now at 3/2. That won't affect us for too much longer, hopefully. If it does, we will have to shed one of our counties and give it to somebody. So we're just waiting for that marriage to come in. There we go. Duke Otto and Gormelia have gotten married. We can collect a royal aid duty to pay for the ceremonies. Wow, it's 31.58 gold, so we're going to take that money. And that should... Oh, yep, that will allow us to build a castle town, or upgrade the castle town in Lundberg. And our demesne limit has increased so that now we're at 3/3. That's still not wonderful, but, well, we're hoping that it will increase at various points. We've had our siege equipment become available for an upgrade, which would increase how fast we besiege some places and how well our defenses are in sieges. But we're going to actually improve our light infantry. And that looks to be fairly good. Alright, well, nothing much is happening at this stage. And as we've just gotten married, I feel that it's time for Duke Otto to retire to his chambers with his lovely Scottish wife. And, play some chess, as it were. So, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you've got any questions about how to play the game or what I'm doing, feel free to leave a comment. And, yeah, join us next time. I've been Sub. You've been yourselves. Later.